That's better. Turn my camera backwards. I was wondering why it wasn't showing up. But it looks like we are live right now. Just want to give you guys a couple of minutes to come in. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a 30-day live in which I talked about art therapy and how I worked with art therapy as a modality for helping me to heal. But I also mentioned that there were many other modalities that I work with as well to heal my body from chronic illness. And another one of those is essential oils. And I'm going to be talking a little bit today about some essential oils that I worked with as far as inflammation is concerned. A lot of the essential oils that I'm going to mention are not only have anti-inflammatory benefits, they also have antiseptic benefits as well, among other benefits. So you'll hear them mentioned for a multiple of uses, right? But today I just wanted to mention a few and talk about a little bit about the ones that I use and how I work with them. And I'm also going to be showing you a couple of things that I've created over the years that I've been doing research into essential oils and using them as well. All right. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail as far as their benefits are concerned because I could be here forever talking about each one of them. So what I'm going to do is the video will be up. It will be recorded, so you can always refer back to the video. But you can also just make a note of the different essential oils that I mentioned, and then kind of go into doing your own research on your own, because I could talk for hours and hours on just each of the essential oils themselves. So I didn't want to keep you here forever. So this video shouldn't be maybe more than 15 or 20 minutes long, but it'll give you a lot of information to start with, so that you can go ahead and begin your own little journey, maybe creating some blends just for yourself that you can work with if you were dealing with any kind of inflammation. All right, so the question for you is, and I did make some notes so I can kind of keep on track. Do you have any kind of inflammation happening in your body? And chances are you do. I'm going to mention a few possible signs for inflammation, and you can kind of say, that's me, or no, that's not me. And you can, mention some other things in the comments below if there's some other things that you're experiencing that could be considered symptoms of inflammation, okay? So allergies. Right now we're in smack dab in the middle of spring, right? And you're probably having that occasional sniffle where you go outside and the pollen is just so heavy. So you might be having an allergic reaction to pollen, or maybe it's an allergic reaction to something else. That's a type of inflammation. Maybe you're just completely exhausted because you've just overworked your body. That's also a symptom of inflammation. Brain fog. You wake up in the morning, or maybe it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you're just having such a hard time focusing on what you need to do to get through the rest of the day. That's also a sign of inflammation. Hi, Rosanna. So maybe you have, you're moody at times and you're just not sure why. And maybe you're just extremely happy at one point and then you're really sad like 5 minutes later. That right there is a symptom of inflammation. Maybe you have gum disease. I know for people who have lupus or who've been diagnosed with lupus, one of my symptoms several years back was just chronic bleeding gums. And one of the things that I worked with, I'm going to share with you lots of examples, so I don't want to get off track, but let me tell you this story a minute. I woke up one morning and I just kind of went, my mouth tastes funny. And then I realized after I pulled my lip back that my gums were just bleeding. And certain essential oils are what I started to use from then to kind of help me with healing my gums. I did end up losing a few teeth as a result of the lupus diagnosis before I really got into learning what was working for me and what wasn't. But essential oils is one of the things that I did work with to try to heal my gums. And actually not just heal my gums, to, complete oral health. If you wake up with a puffy face, that's a sign of inflammation. If you have, maybe you have abdominal pain, that could be a sign of inflammation, of something going on in your gut area. Crohn's disease, these are a couple, autoimmune issues that definitely have inflammation, like heavy inflammation that comes along with it. So Crohn's disease, lupus, and there are a lot of different types of lupus, but with every single one of them, there's some, hello Paula, there's some kind of inflammation that comes along with it, right? IBS, diverticulosis, all of those. Okay, so if you're experiencing any of those symptoms, bags under the eyes, I forgot to mention that one. Those are all signs and symptoms of inflammation happening in your body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some essential oils that I've worked with over the years to kind of, and I'm also going to be posting below a link that kind of spells out in a lot more detail a lot of the essential oils that I've worked with over the years to kind of help me to heal. But I'm also going to post another article that I wrote that kind of shows you some images of what I looked like on a regular basis when I was first diagnosed with lupus, and the kind of symptoms that I was experiencing on a regular basis. Some of them are going to be kind of scary because even now looking at them, I thought, did I really wake up looking at like that regularly? With, blotchy face, the lupus rash that went across my face, swelling. I would have, really big puffy eyes, and it was just, bloating was a symptom, but for me, it wasn't one of my main symptoms. The main one for me occurred mostly around my face. Thank you for asking that, Rosanna. And I just had lots of swollen joints to where I couldn't close my fingers because my joints were so swollen. Really swollen knees. And those of you who know me from back home, I was a runner. I still love to run, and I couldn't run because my knees were always so inflamed. My hips were always so inflamed. There was just chronic inflammation throughout my entire body. And I'm going to share with you a lot of the essential oils that I worked with that I actually did 3.5 miles today on the treadmill. I've been doing no less than 3.5 miles on the treadmill for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And that was completely unheard of several years back, because it took me, and this is another thing I want to make sure you're aware of. This is not an overnight success kind of thing. I was diagnosed with lupus, about 8 years ago. I completely forgot. It's in my article. I think it was about 8 years ago. And I think it took about a year before I said, I've had it with pharmaceuticals. They're not doing anything but trying to kill me. And there's got to be a better way. And essential oils, like I said, was one of them. I started off with a few other things as well, but today we're talking mainly about some essential oils, all right? So this is not an overnight thing, so don't expect overnight success. It is going to take a little bit of work, and it's not just about the essential oils. It's also, food that you eat. So you're going to recognize some of the essential oils as being spices that you might even have in your kitchen. So if you don't have the essential oils, start to cook with the spices that I've mentioned, that you're familiar with, that you say, oh, ginger. She mentioned ginger essential oil. I've got ginger powder in the kitchen. Start to work with ginger. Start to cook with the ginger. So you'll hear a lot of those as I go along, though. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple examples. I'm not going to get bogged down into so much of the chemical makeup of the essential oils, because like I said, we could be here forever, but I know that you're smart. You can go and do a little bit of research on your own and find out exactly why these essential oils are so powerful. All right, so some of the essential oils there's eucalyptus, rosemary, cajeput, cardamom, and sage. And these particular ones have a chemical in them called cineol, or 1.8 cineol. So that's one of the reasons why those particular ones are so powerful. Anise, and you're probably familiar with anise seed. People cook with that. So there's, and I mentioned rosemary, we also cook with that. So those are, if you have those in the kitchen, you can certainly start to incorporate those into your foods if you're not already doing so. But anise, cedarwood, and fennel. Again, fennel is a spice that you most likely have. That those three, anise, cedarwood, and fennel, they contain a particular chemical called anethole, which is a really good anti-inflammatory agent. Lavender, rosemary, which I mentioned again. Some of these I mentioned more than once because they'll have their chemical makeup may contain more than one particular chemical that's considered anti-inflammatory. Okay, so lavender, rosemary, lavandel, and sage, which I mentioned again. Those they contain a chemical called borneol. Clove, and I'm going to talk a little bit about clove because clove was one that definitely saved my mouth. Definitely saved my mouth. So clove, black pepper, which pretty much every household has in their kitchen, right? So black pepper and basil. And yesterday, actually, I harvested a bunch of basil and ended up making some pesto. I'm not sure if you saw that, but I'll share that if you want. And it's a very, very simple recipe. So if you grow basil, making homemade pesto is the best. But the essential oil, basil essential oil, black pepper, and clove, they contain a chemical called eugenol. All right, so those are 4 chemicals in those particular essential oils. But here's a few more essential oils that tend to soothe inflammation, and there's quite a few, so I'm just going to list them off. And if there are any of these that you want me to talk about more extensively in other videos, I will certainly do so. All you have to do is just mention it in the comments below, and I will spend a little bit more time on those. But I'm going to give you a lot of information today to get you started anyway. All right, so bergamot or bergamot, depending on how you pronounce it, that's one that's very soothing when it comes to inflammation. Cajuput is not I don't think that's a very well-known one, but it's certainly one that I love, and it's very grounding, very grounding. So I love to use it in perfumes as well. Caraway, and you're familiar with caraway seeds. If you have that, you can certainly start to cook with that as well. Which carrier oil do you recommend? Well, it all depends. I love to use, if I'm using it on my body, sometimes I make a lotion, and that question is coming from Rosanna. If I use a lotion, and I'm going to share that with you right now. In this lotion is my, I want to call it my herbal Germex blend. So whenever I'm going out, you know, if I have to go out anywhere, this is what I actually put on, because it's not just lotion. It has clove, it has eucalyptus and sweet orange and a few other essential oils in here that when I put them on, it's kind of like putting on Germex, except it's all plant-based, right? So I put that into my hands, rub it all over my legs, wherever I need it. And if I'm making perfumes, I love to use either jojoba oil or I use olive oil as well. And I'm going to share with you a few things that I have created using those particular carrier oils. You can also use coconut oil, the fractionated coconut oil. It all depends on you, and it depends on what you're making. Like I said, if I'm making perfumes, sometimes I'll just use jojoba oil or I'll use olive oil. And I'm going to also show you how to infuse some herbs, because sometimes I make my own carrier oils by infusing the olive oil and some herbs with it, and then I use that particular blend for my skin, and I'm going to share that one with you shortly. Okay, so I'm going to go through this list first, so you have that list, and then I'll share with you some personal things that I've created. How's that? All right, so let me continue with the essential oils to soothe inflammation. So we got to caraway seeds, or caraway, and you probably cook with caraway seeds. Cardamom is another spice that you probably have in your kitchen, but the essential oil is great as well. Clary sage, clove, and I've mentioned clove before. Eucalyptus again, geranium, and geranium is the one that saved my skin, and I'm going to share with you a blend that I've been working with for the last 6 or 7 years at least. Ever since I started to get the lupus rash on my skin, this is the blend that I've been working with consistently, and I've never had the lupus rash since. Ginger, I mentioned that one before as well. Lavandin, I've also mentioned. Lavender, oregano, I'm sure you cook with oregano. That's an antiseptic one as well, anti-inflammatory. Palmarosa, peppermint. You can grow peppermint plant and simply make the tea. You can also work with the peppermint as an anti-inflammatory agent. If you suffer from migraines, it is great for migraine headaches as well, simply by rubbing it on the back of your neck. Roman chamomile. Excuse me. Roman chamomile again. Sweet marjoram. Something went on the wrong spot. Tea tree, you've heard of that before, I'm sure. Thyme, we cook with thyme. Turmeric, and I could go on for hours and hours and hours on turmeric. If you haven't heard about turmeric and its benefits, chances are you are under a rock somewhere, but I'm telling you, turmeric, it's great for the skin. That is one that I've been using in my skin blend for years. A lot of people cook with it, put it into their smoothies, but it's great for an anti-inflammatory, but it's also great for your skin, and a lot of people don't know that. It's virtually great for pretty much any part of your body. Frankincense and helichrysum. Frankincense, helichrysum, and turmeric are 3 really, really good ones, and those are the 3 that I have in my, I should say, really good ones for the skin. And I'm going to show you, this is the blend that I use every single day on my skin. And I just turned 51 years old. I do have a little bit of makeup on, but I don't wear a ton of foundation. And this is the blend that I've been using for the last, I'd say, 7 years. And I just keep remaking it probably every 2 or 3 months, because this bottle would probably last me about a month and a half. And it is, oops, not the, oh, it's okay. It is in a roller bottle, so all I do is, after I've showered and cleansed my face and everything and dried my face, I just simply use this and I just massage all over my face and my neck. Remember, whatever you do on your face, you should also continue down. Thank you, Paula. Thank you. You should also continue down to your neck and décolleté area. You don't want your face to look amazing and then you develop, So whatever you do on your face, whatever you do on your face, also continue down your neck and down your chest area. Okay? So this particular one, this is my facial blend. This has geranium in it. It also has rosehip seed oil. Rosehip seed is great for the skin, especially for older skin. Turmeric is also in here. Saffron is in here, and you probably heard people cook with saffron. Turmeric is in here as well, and frankincense is also in here. So that's one of the blends I work with on a regular basis, and it keeps the inflammation down in my face. You could use this on other parts of your body, but I created this formulation specifically for my face. All right, so I'm going to put that over there. Let me share with you another one. This is, I mentioned my anti-germix or anti-germ blend. I hate to say anti-germ because I hate to be anti-germ, because we live, our bodies are filled with germs. That's just how it is. But this is the blend that I use if I know that I have to go out, especially in this day and age, right, with coronavirus kind of roaming around. This is the particular blend. This is the oil form that I just put on my hands. I mentioned the lotion. This is what I put into the lotion, and that way I can put on the lotion and lotion my skin and get the benefits of the essential oils at the same time. All right, so this particular one has, let me go ahead and tell you, is anise, and I mentioned anise seed before. Savory, again something we cook with. Cumin, again something we cook with. You're finding that a lot of these essential oils that I'm mentioning are probably herbs and spices that you already have in your kitchen that you can simply be eating and getting the benefits from, right? Peppermint is in here. Clove, again, I mentioned that several times. Balsam fir. Then there's also tea tree, which I mentioned as well. The one I did not mention, and I don't think I have it on here, but it is in here. I did not write it on. The one that I did not write on was hyssop. And you're probably familiar with hyssop if you're familiar with the Bible. It was it was given to Jesus to drink at the crucifixion. I think it was at the crucifixion. But hyssop is great. I also have the herb. You can make a tea with it and you can drink it. It does tend to be a little bit bitter, so you kind of want to mix it with other things. But this is what I call my herbal Germex, right? So that's what that is. You share with you a few others. This one has peppermint, lavender, frankincense, and eucalyptus. And this one is one that I would put a few drops of it onto a bath rag and put it at the in my tub. When I turn the shower on, then the oils tend to rise with the steam, and you can, if you wake up with a stuffy nose, stuffy head, this helps to really clear your head. Okay, so I can tell you what's in here again. It's peppermint, lavender, frankincense, and eucalyptus, and I mentioned a few of those already. So you can tell, based on what I've said before, a lot of these essential oils are not just anti-inflammatory, they're antiseptic, they have lots of other uses, so you'll hear me mention them more than once. And if you want me to talk a little bit more about any of these products that I'm sharing with you, then just simply put them in the comment section below, and I will check them at the end of the video, and I can go from there. Okay, let me share with you a few others. I did mention, okay, let me go to this one before. I did mention that I had a lot of joint pain many years ago when I was first diagnosed, and this is a blend that I was working with whenever I had any kind of joint pain, whether in my fingers, my hips, my knees, wherever. And so let me tell you what's in here. This is chamomile, and I mentioned Roman chamomile earlier. This also has clove. Clove keeps coming up because it's one of those powerhouses when it comes to essential oils. This also has lavender, which I've also mentioned before. Wintergreen is one that I have not mentioned, but that one is great, really good for joint pain. Marjoram, I've mentioned that one before as well. Peppermint, mentioned that one as well. That's in here. So this is what I call my nerve and joint pain blend, because I use it for both nerve pain and joint pain. I had a friend who has been diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis, and she's had it for years. So she ended up having to have hip surgery. I think she had a double hip replacement. She's had double knee replacements. So, scarring was a huge thing. So when I think it was on her second hip replacement, she asked me to put together something for her that was going to kind of help to minimize scarring. And this was a blend that I came up with. And this has frankincense in there, which I mentioned before. And it also has helichrysum, which I also mentioned. Really good for inflammation, and really good for minimizing scarring as well. And I was kind of surprised when it worked so well, because one of the nurses even mentioned about 2 days after she had the surgery how quickly her wound had been healing. So this one is one that I'm very proud of, and I've given away a lot of it, so there's not much left. I just keep giving it away because I don't really use it much. But I know someone who also had stretch marks that used this, and it worked really well for that as well. So that's another way that I've been working with these anti-inflammatory ones. I also mentioned, let me bring this one up. I think I might have shown this before. I did mention that I just turned 51 recently, and for each birthday I have been, not every birthday, but usually the last few birthdays, maybe 5 birthdays, I try to do a perfume. And this is the one that I created this year, and I call it Annual 51. I was kind of playing around with the words Area 51. So this is Annual 51, which basically means year 51. And this can be, there, oh gosh, there's so many things in here, but a lot of the essential oils that I mentioned, some of them are in here as well. So this doubles as a perfume. So I can simply just take a little bit, let me turn it over, and I can just simply take a little bit and just drop it on my wrist and, you know, just rub it on like that. It smells so good. Or I can take a little and I can add a little bit more carrier oil to it. It already has a carrier oil in there, but if I want to dilute it further, I can add some more carrier oil to just maybe just a few drops, and I can use that as a massage oil at the end of the day. Just, but you know, I can put that on and then I can go and take a shower afterwards, because I do this thing called abhyanga, which is basically a self massage, and it's where you just take a certain oil and you just oil your body all over, and then you go and take your shower, and what happens is your body absorbs what it needs that you've put on, and then you can just simply wash off the excess through your shower. So this is that perfume that I created this past birthday. Another way that I work with these anti-inflammatory oils is I make infused oil. Now this one is calendula, and this is actually the base. This is the carrier oil that I've used in here, right? So this is a calendula infused oil, and this is olive oil. The olive oil is what I use on my skin. If I'm doing the one for healing the inflammation that could possibly occur. Now, let me stop here for a second and just tell you something. Based on my last couple of blood work results, there is no evidence of lupus in my body whatsoever. So I can tell you that these things do work. My doctors have told me over and over lupus is incurable, but yet they're always baffled by my blood work. And they don't want to hear, well, this is what I've been doing and that is what I've been doing, because they're not trained in those areas. But I'm telling you, I'm a living testimony that these products work. Now, these are not the only things that I've worked with, but I mean, this is literally God's medicine upon this earth. They're plant-based. They're very powerful modalities to work with. So I can tell you, you know, they do work. Okay, so this is I have it written on here. It's calendula infused oil. Calendula is a yellow flower, and I just put in, I used a lot of it already. I put enough of the herb in, and then I cover it. Let me put it in the screen. And I cover it with the olive oil, and I can either put it in a double boiler and on very, very low heat, or you can simply put it in here and put it beside a sunny window, or for maybe 7 days on the stove top, very, very low heat, usually for about maybe 10-15 minutes, and then I let it infuse for another 4 days or so. Or if you want to, you just simply put the herb in, put the oil in, and then put it into a dark closet or a dark cabinet and just let it sit there for about 4 to 6 weeks to infuse on its own. And that is how I make the carrier oil. This is the one that I work with on my skin. Now, calendula is also a really, really good for pain. So if you have kids who are, and it's very, very gentle, so it's not going to cause any kind of reaction. If you have kids who might be sick, and you know, you tend to get achy, this is a really good massage oil. So you can just simply make a batch of this and just use it as a massaging. My son and I, we both have the sickle cell trait, and the funny thing is, I think I was 16 when I even found out that I was a carrier, and I had no clue. And I completely forgot about it until I delivered my third child, because when I found out at age 16 that I even had this thing, I had passed out in my O-level math exam. And those of you from the Cayman Islands, you'll understand what I'm talking about when I say that. I was taking my O-level math exam, and I passed out. And I ended up waking up in the nurse's office, and I remember she asked me, you know, why didn't you say that you had the sickle cell trait? And I said, well, I have no idea what that is. I didn't know that I had this thing. And that was the extent of the conversation. Fast forward to 14 years ago when I was delivering my third child, I got handed a letter stating that I should take this letter to his pediatrician. And in it, it basically spells out that he's been born with the sickle cell trait. Now, my other two kids, we're still trying to figure out if they're carriers. They have to go and get tested, because I think they were born at a time when I don't think it was a test that was being done. But to make a long story short, my third child was born with the sickle cell trait, so we're both carriers. And the thing is, no one told me anything about it, about how to be careful, yada, yada, yada. So one of the things that has helped him, because he does have crises, even though a lot of people will say that, well, it's just a trait, you don't have crises with them, but it's been proven that the trait can cause crisis events, and he's had a few of them. And this calendula infused oil is something that I make on a regular basis, and when he was younger and he was having a lot of crises, this is what I would massage him down with, and it helps with pain tremendously. So it, even though it makes my skin look amazing, it's also great for joint pain that might arise from, you know, if you have a child who has the sickle cell trait, or even the full-blown sickle cell disease, and among other inflammatory illnesses that, you know, you all might be familiar with. So, hi Judy Faye, thank you for being here. So if this is one that is definitely helpful, is the calendula. Now let me show you another way that I work with essential oils, and this one is for the bath. These are bath salts. Now you can see that, you know, there's a little bit more than just the bath salt in here. This is Epsom salt, and there's also a little bit of pink salt, the Himalayan pink salt. And what you're looking at here is a combination of jasmine as well as calendula, the calendula flower, which I just mentioned. So I also work with it here, and what I do is I take this and I put it into a little muslin bag, pull the drawstring, and then I just drop it into, you know, run the water as hot as I possibly can handle it, not too hot because you don't want to burn the skin, and then I do a deep soak with this in it. So this has the Epsom salt, some Himalayan pink salt. I think there's a little bit of baking soda in here as well, with the jasmine as well as the calendula flowers. So that's another way that I work with these anti-inflammatory essential oils. One more, and I think I've shown this in a previous live. This is just a spray that I use for cleaning. It definitely has the clove in it. It also has tea tree, eucalyptus oil, rose. It has rose essential oil in here as well. And the color that you're seeing, this is because I infused a lot of the actual herbs and added the essential oils to the herbs, so that's why it has that color in there. And then I simply use this whenever I am out and I have my mask on. Whenever I get back, I take the mask and I infuse it with this. I just simply spray, you know, the front part that is facing out. I spray the mask with this, and that will help to kill whatever is on my mask. And I also spray it into my hands, kind of a quick wash if I don't have my other herbs, just a quick wash using this as well. And then I also use it to spray the doorknobs, and I spray countertops, spray the shower, the toilet, everywhere. It's great for that as well. So these are just different ways that I work with these different essential oils. And I want to share something else with you, just to show you that this is really, essential oils is really a huge part of my life. Those are just a few things. I'm going to flip the camera around, and I'm going to show you kind of a chest that is filled with other essential oils. So if there are any particular ones that I've mentioned that you want to hear more about, please do post them in the comment section below. I'm going to stop here for now. think that's all the ones I wanted to share, because otherwise I'd be here forever. But I am going to flip the camera around and show you my chest that does have a lot more essential oils in there as well. Okay, so just bear with me for a sec. Okay, so this is what I call my little black box. You can see it's a huge black box, and this particular container has lots of different essential oils in there. And then you can see these are a few, some of them are individual ones and some of them are blends. And this is not everything. I do have some more in the room, but I wanted to show you, yes, essential oils are a huge part of my life, and you know, very important part of my life, and they're just powerful plant medicine. And I am one of those people that I do believe that God has placed these plants on this planet for a reason. They're, you know, every plant out there has a purpose, and I think it's one of those things that at this day and age especially, that we're just beginning to realize how powerful. So you can see when I talk about essential oils, they're not just a few of them that I'm working with. I have a huge, you know, huge black box, and this does have a few drawers, and these are just a few more in here as well. So let me go ahead and flip back. So if there anything that I've mentioned that you're curious about or you'd want to learn more about, just simply post them in the comment section below, and I will gladly do another video on those, or I will post them in the comments. But chances are, like I said, we could talk for hours on each individual essential oil and all of its benefits, because they are just really powerful modalities, and that I think everybody should be working with. But I also mentioned that many of them that I mentioned are spices that you may already have in your kitchen cabinet. So don't panic and say, well, I don't have those essential oils. You work with what you have. Start where you are. So if you have clove in your kitchen cabinet, if you have oregano, if you have thyme, if you have marjoram, and many of the others that I've mentioned, then work with those. Start incorporating them more into your foods, and you get the benefits as well. The one thing to remember about essential oils, let me give an example. Peppermint essential oil, I'm just wanting to show you just how concentrated essential oils really are. 1 drop of peppermint essential oil, it would take probably about a cup of peppermint leaves. Imagine a cup of peppermint leaves. It would probably take about that much to make 1 drop of peppermint essential oil. So we're talking about really concentrated items here. Okay, so when you're working with the herbs themselves and you're cooking, they're not as strong as if you're working with the essential oils, and that's fine. And when you're working with essential oils, they need to be diluted anyway, because they could burn your skin. Clove is one of those that's really strong, and I mentioned that it's one of those that basically saved my teeth. What I do with the clove, and I still do that now, is I take some coconut oil, maybe about a tablespoon of coconut oil, 1 drop of clove essential oil, and I put that into my mouth and I swish that around. It's called oil pulling, but I get even more benefits if I add the clove essential oil. So just put that into my mouth and I swish that around for about 5 minutes, or until my mouth gets really full, because what it does, it pulls down all of the excess mucus out of your cavities up here, pulls it, and you can feel it kind of filling into your mouth, or sometimes you feel it draining down the back of your throat. This is just excess mucus that your body might make, and that's another way that you help to get rid of the inflammation up here, and you might even see a reduction in any bags that you might have under your eyes. So that's one of the ways that I work with clove essential oil. If you cooking with it, you'll get benefits from cooking as well. But the clove essential oil is just so concentrated and it's so powerful. All of these essential oils are really powerful, but clove is one that definitely saved what teeth I had left, because I mentioned earlier, for those of you who are just coming in, that when I was first diagnosed with lupus, that my teeth was horribly affected, and I ended up losing a few, but I had, gums that would bleed constantly. But right now I'm at a point where I haven't had any issues. Oh, the other thing with lupus was I also developed lots of canker sores in my mouth. And if you've ever had one canker sore in your mouth, then try to imagine having about 8 or 10, and then having those on a regular basis. That's one of the things that lupus did with, as far as my oral health was concerned. So working with clove and doing oil pulling on a regular basis definitely helped to save my teeth. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there. Like I said, I could go on forever and ever on talking about these. But if there are specific ones that you do want to hear about, please, like I said, mention them in the comment section below, and I can come back on and speak about those specific ones. Or if you want me to go into any more detail concerning some of the items that I showed you that I work with on a regular basis, I will gladly do that as well. All right, so thank you all for being here. If you have any questions at all, just post them below in the comment section, and I will get to those as quickly as I can. Thank you all for being here. I love you guys. And let me mention, I'm wearing my purple butterfly because this is May, and May is Lupus Awareness Month. So for anyone who's watching who's a lupus warrior, shout out to all of you, and shout out to all of you who are going to be watching later on. I know that I don't really suffer from lupus symptoms anymore, but I have a huge heart for people who are battling any kind of autoimmune disease, because I know the challenges, and I know what doctors are telling their patients, and I know that you can heal, because I'm a walking testimony to that. So on that note, love you all, and I see great video. Thank you. Love that one for stretch marks as well. Thank you, Rosanna. And thank you all so much for being here and for joining me for this time. I will see you all again real soon.